Hey everybody, welcome to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and in this video we're gonna finish up old Waldo. It's been around here for a while, done a lot of work to him, and it's time to finish him up and send him home. So last video we made, we built this push bumper. It's all done, it's sturdy as can be, it's ready to go. And since that video I have put a clutch in it, done a bunch of stuff under the hood. I changed the oil, filled it with coolant, put power steering on it. It didn't have a pump, and I had to make brackets and all that stuff. So you can kind of see that. It kind of looks stock, but all these brackets are remade. Got it all hooked up, got it full of fluid, power steering's working, yada 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 yada. So what I have left to do to finish it up, some of which I'm gonna film and some of which I'm just gonna do and get through the video, I have to put the fuel tank back in. I have to put the jockey shaft for the winch drive off the PTO back in. I've got to replace lights and rewire. I got to rewire the whole bed, and then I got to wire in the lights on the bumper that we built. I got to put in the arm that controls the PTO for forward and reverse, and button up the inside. I got to put the doghouse back in. I got to put the shifter back in. I got to put the door panels back on. And then I think the only thing I have left under the hood is belts, spark plug wires. So it's just, with the exception of the fuel tank and hooking up the PTO, it's just tying up loose ends basically. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuel tank slammed back in and hooked up, and probably work on the jockey shaft and stuff for the PTO. I'll show you a little bit here and there, but overall, as far as most of the stuff underneath, I'm just gonna get it done. All right, it's been a good while since I started this video. Pardon the wind if you can hear it. I can't get out of it. Anyways, it's been a little while. It might have even been last year. Happy New Year, by the way. And old Waldo. So I started this video, said I was gonna work on everything underneath, try to get it done, and then I'd bring you guys back and we'd do the top stuff and try to get this thing finished up. So things have happened. I've worked on other projects and everything else, so it's probably been 3 weeks to a month that I've been working on this for an hour here, hour there, 2 hours here, hour there, whatever. But I finally got everything underneath done. I got the jockey shaft for the winch shortened. I got the PTO controls for the back hooked up. The clutch is in, the clutch is adjusted. The rear brakes are all redone. Just everything. I don't even know what else, but everything underneath is done. So now we can move on to the rest of the stuff, which isn't a whole lot. We can get this thing finished up. We can try hooking it up to a truck and drag it around the property here and see what happens. So I added some new lights. The ones that were on here were all broke and busted, and I'm all for keeping the patina and the original look of the truck, but having nice, new, easy to see functioning lights is a big thing for me. Whether it ruins the look of the truck or not, I'd still like to have it, you know, safe. You know what I'm saying? So we got that. We need to put some door panels in. Got a couple little things to finish up under the hood. Put spark plug wires on, put belts on. I've already changed the oil. I've already filled it with coolant, so on and so forth. But the biggest project we have left is wiring the bed. So I have to put the beacon light on still, and I got to get underneath there and sort out what all truck wiring is still there and see if I'm getting power to it and if it works, and then go ahead and wire in These are going to be tail lights, turn signals, running lights. Those back there are going to be tail light, turn signals, running lights. Believe it or not, I tested this yesterday and this light actually works. I'll have the beacon, and then I got cab lights, and we got our lights, our new running lights up here. So that's it. I'm gonna start working on getting wiring sorted out and getting lights wired, and I'll update you guys as we go along. All right, well, it's starting to get pretty late in the evening. It's cooling off pretty quick. I've been fighting in this wind all day long, and I'm ready to go home. So I figured what better time than now to give you guys an update. And all I can say is, I don't know where the time goes. I was over here. I had some other stuff I had to do today, so I didn't get here till late, but I've been over here for about 6 hours. And I had the intention of finishing all the wiring and moving on to the other stuff that I'm going to show you guys step by step, and finishing it up, maybe even finishing this truck. Well, reality of life, I didn't even get the wiring done. 6 hours of wiring. I got from here forward done, and from here forward about halfway done. I don't even have anything back there done yet. All these lights, the spotlight, the strobe light, or the oscillator, whatever you want to call it, are all finished wired. They're all heat shrink butt connected. All the heat shrink's been heat shrunk. Everything that's exposed to the elements is loomed. These are all grounds here, both sides, and I got P-clamps on the inside up here holding this over, and then there's a hole down here inside here that all these are going to run through, and they'll go down to the frame rail and get hooked up to the factory wiring on the truck. And then I have to run the 2 lights back there up and tie them in underneath up here at the same time I tie all these wires in. So I can show you guys the lights up here, kinda. We got brand spanking new cab lights. Hopefully you can see them and the sun's not blinding you. All brand new and working. We got our fender working. We got headlights, which earlier 3 of them were working, but now they're not. The bulbs are probably just out. Got our marker light over here. These lights on the front are not going to be markers. They're only 2-wire lights, so they're only going to be turn signals. Now, with that being said, turn signal switch, there's not enough power actuating through the flasher, or enough resistance for the flasher to work right now, because it's only those 2 bulbs and nothing else is hooked up, I think. Because I can tell that when I turn the turn signal on, it's functioning, but it's not sending feed to the lights. So I think it's just not, I don't know. I'm gonna finish wiring everything and then I'll try it again and see what happens. But we got our oscillator cleaned up really good. It cleaned up way better than I thought it was going to. Believe it or not, this old spotlight worked. And all the lights are mounted. All the lights are clean and ready to be hooked up, and part of them are hooked up. So that's gonna do it for today. I'll be back bright and early and chilly in the morning, and we're gonna get the rest of these lights hooked up. Back to in here, there's switches that have been here since the dawn of time. Whatever, if they still work, that's what we're hooking up, because we're trying not to make it look too new and updated. So try to hook it up to those switches. All I'm gonna have is the spotlight and the oscillator. Everything else should be off the headlight switch or the brake light or the brake pedal or stuff like that. So hopefully those 2 switches will work, the spotlights and the oscillator, and that would be cool. So anyways, that's gonna do it for today. I'll see you guys here in just a second. All right, well, I would tell you guys that I came back after dark to show you all the lights on the truck, but to be honest with you, I just ended up working until it was dark to get them done. And don't ask why, because I don't know that I can explain it, but it took me 3 days to do all the wiring on this truck, which I guess isn't too bad, but either way, really cool. I'm gonna show you guys, it's dark out here. I don't want to turn the overhead lights on because that takes away from the lights on the truck. So we've got marker lights, we've got headlights, we got brand new bright and shiny cab marker lights. We got running lights on the headache rack, both sides. Running lights down here on the bed. And I have determined that the turn signal switch is bad because it only sends a signal to this right front light for some reason. It doesn't send it to the back, it doesn't send it to the other side up here, but it's all hooked up. So I think the turn signal switch is bad. But those are the lights I put on that new push bumper, which I'll turn the lights on in a minute so you guys can see everything that I'm doing. But so that's going to be our blinkers. Once I replace our turn signal switch, like I said, I got the hazards on right now and nothing else is working, but it's all hooked up, so no telling. And then honestly, the brake lights aren't working. It might be something in the brake light switch, but this is the best part of this whole deal. That old amber beacon that I found out in that junkyard. I'm sure I told you guys about it, but I got it all cleaned up and I got it mounted and it works. And it's cool, super cool. And I might sound like a nerd, but I'm stoked about it. That's the right light for this truck, and the fact that it still works just blows me away. I love every second of it. So, and then last but not least, we got another switch in here, and this old spotlight right here still works. Doesn't even have to put a bulb in it. Shines pretty bright out here. And then we've got the backup lights that were in those lights that I mounted on the headache rack. I put on the switch, so when you turn the switch for the spotlight on, the backup lights come on too. And it does a halfway decent job of lighting stuff up. So you'll be able to see the backup, you'll be able to see if you're hooking up or whatever, but turned out pretty good. So we got lights. There's that beacon. If I didn't show it to you guys up close before, it cleaned up good. There's that old spotlight I was telling you about. And then I know I showed you guys all these other lights. So here's the lights on the bumper that aren't working. And now that I think about it, all that is wired through the brake light switch, and the brake lights don't work when you press on the brake pedal. So I'm gonna get underneath there and look. It may not have a brake light switch. It's been sitting for a long time, and it wouldn't be the first part I found on here that got robbed, or it's just not working from sitting for a long time. So I'll get under there, check that brake light switch, see if that does anything. Hopefully that's our problem. It'll be an easy fix, but otherwise we're about ready to start finishing up the interior, finishing up the motor, and see if we can get this thing to run and do its thing. All right, it's the next day. Been at it for a couple hours, and I finally have everything underneath this truck wrapped up. All the wiring's done, the fuel filler neck's done, the linkages to shift the PTO is done, the cables to disengage the clutch from the back of the bed to be able to work the PTO and the winch. Done. Parking brakes done. Everything. So jockey shaft to run the winch, all of it. So I'm going to take you underneath there and kind of show you what I've been working on in between other projects for the last 2 to 3 weeks, and show you the best that I can. And then we're finally going to take this thing down off the jack stands. We'll try to put a little bit of fuel in it, make sure that the filler neck's not leaking. I'll probably do that before I take it off the jack stands, just in case I got to get back under there to work on it. But once we get it off the jack stands, we can finish up the last couple little things that need to be done on the motor, and then we can hear this thing run for the first time in 2 years. If you go way back to the very first, you go way back to the very first Waldo video, I did a will it start on it and we fired this thing up. It has not ran since. Like, I fired it up, we were gonna do a tune-up on it. I got the new plugs and everything in, new cap, new rotor, all that. And I never even put the spark plug wires on, so we're gonna do that today. So let's get underneath here. I'll try to show you guys the best I can what I've done. And there is the chain and all that for the jockey shaft. And there is the jockey shaft. I had to cut it, shorten it, sleeve it, weld it. It runs down to the PTO. Piece of rebar here on the PTO is the linkage to shift it. You guys might be saying, what the heck kind of hack work are you doing with that? That's the way it was. So he wanted it put back the way it was. It worked before, so that's what we did. That's hooked up. This here runs around the pulley back there and goes to the lever. And if you follow it up there, it hooks up to our clutch pedal, or our fork for our clutch. So that's that. And then all our wiring for the bed comes down, hooks into the truck. Fuel tank, fuel neck's done. I've got the original fuel lines hooked back up to the fuel pump, mechanical pump up front, which is new. Everything underneath, once again, is done. So I'm going to go get some fuel, and we'll try putting some fuel in, see if it leaks at the filler neck. If it doesn't, we're gonna take this thing off the jack stands. We're gonna finish up the motor, and I hope we're driving this truck by the end of the day. Pardon the wind, guys, I can't help it, I'm outside. So anyways, got some gas, gonna put it in here, and I'm extremely grateful, because putting gas in this thing means we're getting close, and it's been fun, but it's been a long time coming. So watching to see if it's leaking anywhere, because like I said, I just put that, made a filler neck to put in here. Doesn't appear to be leaking. Poured enough in that I know it's got to be all the way down going in the tank now. So yes, we're good. Don't see it leaking anywhere other than out of my gas can, but that's not, doesn't have anything to do with the truck. Got about 5.5 gallons here. We'll get it in. And alright, not leaking. Took 5.5 gallons. I'd say we're doing good. I've got another 5.5 gallons I'm gonna pour in there because I'd rather have 10, you know, like a half a tank in there to mess with it than just a little bit. I'm not gonna make you watch me pour that in. I'm gonna put the other 5.5 gallons in and we'll get this thing off the jack stands. Now I know as soon as I take this off of the jack stands, that driver's side front tire is going to be flat because it barely holds air long enough to put air in it. But we'll get it all jacked up, get the jack stands out, and then I'll get that tire filled up. And then we've got like 2 more little things to do, and we can try to start this thing. And at that point, we've got some interior to put back together. Other than that, it's about done. Here it goes. Ain't been down in a couple months probably. Alright, I'll get that tire aired up. We'll finish up the last couple things and see if we can't get it to start. Alright, we got to put belts on and we got to put spark plug wires on, and that should be it. So I took some measurements for belts to try to get the right one, and we'll see how it went. It's already not looking good. Dang it. Got a feeling I'm going to have to make about 10 trips to the parts store to get this right. Thought I measured this belt. Alright, so that one's not right. Let's go ahead and try this one. We won't have power steering right at this moment, but we'll at least be able to start it and possibly move it and, you know, that kind of stuff. Hey, we're winning. That one fits. So I need to have to tighten that in a bar. I'm not just totally blowing off that belt, but like I've said before, it's a long drive to the parts store, and we can get a lot more done other than that. So now our water pump will pump water and whatnot. So realistically, we're down to putting we're down to putting the spark plug wires on. We should be, and the fuel line isn't hooked up to the carburetor, which I'll go ahead and do that now so I don't forget, since I recognized it. Get the fuel line hooked up, put our spark plug wires on. We'll give her a crank. I can't wait to try to drive this thing. It's been so long, I'm excited. Get the last couple little things done here, and I'm hoping that it wants to play nice and it just fires up and runs for us. That would be great. Fuel line is connected. This distributor is not orientated the way that I orientate them, and it's been 2 years since I did anything to make this truck run, so I do not know for sure. And these aren't going to be the right wires because they have a coil wire, but they'll work for today. I'll let the guy that owns the truck know that he needs to get different ones that are for an HEI. So or maybe it's a universal set, but usually they're a little different. So I believe, if I remember right, that number 1 is in the front here. We'll find out real quick when I go to start it. Got 1. Six. Alrighty then. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but a local police officer buddy was sitting here in my driveway. Speed trapping or whatever he was doing. All of a sudden I just heard a car sound like it was trying to win the Daytona 500. It was him, so there must be something going on. Whatever it is, sure he'll take care of it. Alright, so we got number 2 left. Wherever I just threw it to right here. And I just noticed that there is a vacuum port on the intake back here that's wide open. That's not going to help us in getting this started. So I'm going to turn you guys off. I'm going to go ahead and find a plug and plug that port. And then when you get back here in a minute, should be time to try to fire it up. Alright. Got gas in the tank. Spark plug wires and everything are hooked up. In theory, there's nothing that should keep this from starting. I just put a little bit of gas in there just to get it, help prime the fuel pump. So, see what happens. Well, let's just say that was easy. I figured that's what was going to happen. We know it runs, so. And I know it's going to be loud, and I'll try to adjust volume for you guys because it don't have a lick of exhaust on it. But, yeah. See if we can keep it running until it pulls some fuel up. Well, we got fuel in the filter up here. Alright, I guess I gotta let the battery charge a little bit more. So I'll come back when we let it charge a little bit more. Alright, it's been charging for a little while. Let's give her another go. Here we go. There it is. That's what we've been waiting for. It's running good. I mean, you heard it. Fired right up and idled. Accelerator pump's working. Carburetor's not leaking. I did have a little fuel leak in our feed line here, and excuse me, I tightened up those hose clamps and it seemed to stop. So engine wise, she's done. Fab wise, she's done. Electrical wise, she's done. All we need is a longer belt for the power steering, and we got to put the interior together. So before we go and try to drive it around and all that good stuff, I don't want to get in too much of a rush. We're going to go over there. We'll slap our door panels back in. We'll put our dash back together where I had to pull it all apart to put the switches in. And in that meantime, we'll let this battery keep charging to get it nice and charged up. But I'm stoked. It's running. It's sitting on all 4 tires. We are so close to driving this thing around here that I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So let's get our interior slapped back together, and then we'll see if this tow truck will tow something. Alright, well, I know this is probably a little bit of a boring part, and everybody wants to see this thing get hooked up and tow something, and I get it. I want to too. But there's 2 things. One, I have to get this part done, so might as well just go ahead and do it. And 2, what in the heck? I'm gonna need help. 2 is I'm gonna need help running winch and stuff on the tow truck, because it's kind of a 2-man gig. So I'm hoping I can get my buddy that owns the truck to come over. Probably not tonight because it's almost dark out, but maybe tomorrow, and we can drive this thing around and hook a truck up to it and drag it around the property and whatnot, because I know he's excited to do it. I'm pretty excited to do it, and so hopefully we can do that tomorrow. But in the meantime, got to get the interior put back together so it's done, which isn't really a big deal. Just got to put the door panels on, window cranks on. I had to take the dash bezel out for the switches that I put in for the lights. So I need to put the switches, like mount the switches in the dash bezel, and then remount it. But that's not a big deal either. Just little things you gotta get done. Alright, door panel, window crank, we got our switches that we wired in for our lights up there. get these put in. Screw this dash bezel back in. And then I'm going to go over and put the other door panel on, which no reason to watch two of those. So all right. Like so and so. There's like no screws holding this in. Might go find some and see if I can't make it a little better. But he doesn't want me to make it too nice because he's trying to keep the old vibe. And he mentioned that he's going to put a new dash pad in it anyways, and in order to do that, he's going to have to take this all back out. So, in the meantime, we'll just put it in like we took it out. Alright, got to get another screwdriver to tighten those down. I'm going to find some screws for the door here. I'm going to put the other door panel on, and then I think we've let the battery charge long enough that maybe we can at least try to move it around. Well, it drives, as you saw, and it's awesome, and it looks awesome, and I'm super stoked about it. And my buddy Justin that owns it is on his way over. You guys will see him in the video in a minute. We need to bleed the rear brakes because I wasn't able to do that by myself, and we're going to hook it up to something and drag it somewhere. So I'll be back in just a second. next to that stuff over there. And
ain't no power steering, the brakes don't work. I couldn't turn
the brakes work.
They work, yeah.
You want me to drive it? Alright, here goes nothing. It picked it up. You gotta go forward. You gotta go forward. Go back a little bit further. We gotta adjust that clutch a little bit. That's good. That's pretty cool. I think you gotta go back to go down, I think. Nope. Forward. Parking brake should work.
Oh, I didn't know it worked.
Yeah, it's hooked up. through it and hook it here, that'll hold that up, right? Oh, okay. Okay, maybe it's not as sketchy as I thought it was, but extremely late for me to be at the shop. But I am over the top excited. Yeah, see, it's dark, it's nighttime. I am extremely excited. One, that wrecker's not sitting here anymore, and two, with how it came out. Like, I know there wasn't really a lot of like work in this video, and that was kind of planned. Like, the whole idea was this was going to be the last video for Waldo, and we were going to hook it up, or my plan, my intentions were to hook it up and do something with it. And all day long doing the door panels and putting the spark plug wires on and putting gas in it and all that, I just had this fear in the back of my head that we were going to hook it up to something and it was just going to rip the dang bed off, and I don't know. Everything I do, I overdo, and I've always got that fear that something's going to fail, and 99.9% of the time it never does. And this didn't either. I mean, it made my entire month worth waking up every morning to see it lift up that truck and drag it, like literally drag it around my shop. So it was cool. Justin is over the top excited. I didn't even really get to introduce him to you guys, but he's super excited. He was playing with the lights and driving it around and everything. He was really excited about it. His dad came over, and his dad worked for his grandpa when he was younger, and his grandpa used that truck. And I don't know, his brother stopped by to check it out. It's just been a cool experience. Like, it's a family heirloom for them, and they're all super excited about it, which makes me even more excited about it, because it's cool to me that they're happy with it, and it's so cool to them. So I'm just rambling, but Waldo's done. He's been here for 2 years, and just a little bit of work here, a little bit of work there, but he's done. He runs, he drives, he works, and I bet you that bumper will even push something someday. But that's gonna do it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys think Waldo is as cool as we do. And hopefully you'll share this video with your buddies so they can see how cool Waldo is too. And if you're not already, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and come back and check us out again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.